John. Hi.
Hi.
Hello, John.
Welcome to the show, and we're super happy that you decided to come on with us because we kind of feel that you are probably one of the most polarizing characters that has ever been on the Stern Show. I was listening to a couple of best of things of you on YouTube, and the comments below, every single one of them were either this fucking scumbag, such an asshole, yeah, I don't know why I listen to this shit, or the complete opposite side where it's like, he's such a great guy, he was such a great contributor to the show, he's such an amazing person, why is everybody picking on him? Why do you feel that you caused such dissension?
I guess I'm the Darth Vader of the Howard Stern Show.
Yeah, you're kind of like the Spicoli of the Howard Stern Show. Like, people thought that you were just kind of like this hothead, grifter, loser, taking money from people. You know, like, they felt like you were just this guy who just grifted off of everybody and never really realizing what an incredible contributor you were to the show. Like, I don't think anybody got it.
I did. I love John, and
I put John on the Mount Rushmore of my Stern peeps. Seriously, I knew. Just to give you, in the '90s, if you said you were a Howard Stern fan to any novice, you literally 50% of the time they would come back to you. Oh, you mean that stuttering John guy? You just sort of put the face on it. You were every reason I tuned in. Seriously.
I think. No, I should call you Summer. Is that the name?
You can call me Monique. It's fine.
I mean, what are the real names so we could actually talk like real people?
Grace, Monique, and John.
Oh, this is Arm?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I love you.
How you doing, John?
Dude, John, I love you because on Dog Show you have the Mike Francesa picture. I love it.
Well, Woodward's me. And I got to thank you. You facilitated my FEMI nomination in 1999. I was for Best Celebrity Fight. I was versus the Baldwin brothers from your hometown of Massapequa. And I theorize you were in the same high school as Stephen Baldwin.
No. I was. It's weird. Like, Massapequa is broken up by two sections. So
right, Massapequa Park, right?
No, there's the rich section with the Baldwins and Seinfeld, and there's a poor section with me and like Steve Guttenberg. So I went to high school with like Steve Guttenberg's sister, who was pretty hot, but she never gave it up.
And he was a lot older. Jewish blood, they never give it up.
Where does Joey Buttafuoco factor into all this? We wonder.
I don't.
I'm just kidding.
Nor do I care.
Really?
So, John, I just want you to know that I was listening to what I feel is probably one of the funniest bits I had ever heard on the show, and it was the Miracle House. And I just thought...
I love that one. That was
hysterical.
And it was so hard for me because I'm such a, like, at least I was brought up such a staunch Catholic that I didn't want to mock you people. For the sake of comedy.
What's better? You're just like me. Like, I'm half Puerto Rican also. I have no fucking idea how to speak a lick of Spanish. Like, raised within the whole thing. No idea. No idea how to speak Spanish. And you're trying like your hardest to talk to these people.
I don't speak it that well. I mean, I think I can get by, a little bit, but I'm not fluent. Because I have a Danish mom as well, which a lot of people mistake for Dutch, but Denmark is in Scandinavia, which is what happened. I was on stage once, and there was this hot blonde, really tall, and I said, "Hey, are you Scandinavian?" She said, "No, I'm Norwegian," and I was like, "What an idiot!"
Same fucking
I said,
difference.
"So you're a natural blonde." But it's a true story. But no, I don't speak Spanish well. But you know what? Here's how this all happened. We might as well say what happened. Every once in a while, I go in Dog Shed, and I go there because I know there's a lot of Stern fans, and I don't have I'm not in the I hate Howard thing. I mean, Howard gave me my start. I'm very grateful for that. And so I don't they asked me if he's wearing a wig. How the hell do I know? I mean, it's like, it's like, oh, I know if he's wearing a wig. Would you choose that one?
No, but what else could he wear?
You know what the reality is? They just want to get a rise out of you, John.
But
you know
also-
that.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know.
Well,
I never thought it. And, you know, they trash a lot of things. And the truth is, I don't listen to the show. I stopped listening when
Bless
he
you.
went to Sirius because, I'm sorry.
Good for you.
Right.
It stinks.
Well, there's
Oh,
no
yeah,
need
yeah.
for him to listen.
No, I said I stopped listening to Howard when he went to Sirius. And it's partially because I didn't want to pay to hear myself get ripped apart.
Yeah.
So, you know, and, but you are right, Summer or whatever your fucking name
Monique,
is.
Monique. You can just call me Monique.
Oh, it's Monique. That's right. And you know, I don't really get it because I mean I know I was a troublemaker there, but I think that was what my role was.
It was.
You know, and I think you know it's a shame that I get these people that turn on me only because I mean most of the things that I crafted and most of the things that I did were solely for the benefit of the show. And there was never, you know, even like me goofing on Gary, me even goofing on Howard. And there were times that I did. And, you know, I guess that, you know, there are a certain percentage of Stern fans who just don't like me because of that. You know, they just, you know, it's like, you know, just like you said, Monique, like, who am I to be, you know. But, I mean, that's just what I was. I would call out everybody for the things that I would, you know, I would call bullshit. And
You know what I find interesting, though, too, John, is that, you know, so many times you were such the butt of beratement because they wanted to kind of exploit your stutter. Like, it almost felt abusive to me when I was listening back to a couple of the old shows where, you know, Howard would just beat the shit out of you for being late or just beat the shit out of you because, you know, you
wanted to
went
beat
and
the
did
shit
some
out of
sort of show that wasn't sanctioned by him the night before. And just be a good 45 minutes of poor John just like sitting there it's almost like having an abusive parent. You know
what, Monique, though? John's so much more than a stutter. And it used to get me pissed off. It's the same way that I get pissed off when people think Captain America is just a shield. He's so much more than a shield. John is a ball buster.
Please don't compare me to a comic book character.
Johnny always does. Oh, my
Are we
God.
going down the nerd hallway?
John, you're the one who did a voice for True Crime New York City for Xbox, right? I played that with my nephew.
Yes, I did.
And it was great. I played that with my nephew. I hear your voice.
Really?
And I watched my nephew take a car and go right up to Howard's building on West 67th in Columbus and vomit. So who's the nerd now?
You still have a fucking nerd arm.
Yeah, of course, I did.
Can I get this straight? So we have Monique and Army. What's your real name?
My real name's John.
It's really John, but we don't want to confuse the two
and
of
then
you.
the
And I'm
other
Grace.
woman there.
Grace.
The fuzz, John.
I'm half Polish and half
Great.
Italian, John, just to give you some racial perspective if you want to throw some...
No, it's okay.
Okay.
And what's the name of the other woman there?
Grace.
Graceful.
Oh,
As
Grace.
in
That's
Holy
a nice
Grace.
name.
Graceful. We love
That's a
Grace.
great name.
Oh, John, let me get this out of the way, because I want to... You can... If we say plughead, we're referring to Howard, not to you plugging. So you can plug anything you want all the time.
I get
Seriously.
so mad at I
know. I love when you... John, that's your audience. Who else the fuck are you supposed to be talking to? I love it. You're one of the only people, seriously, I would pay to see out. And I'm an agoraphobe. I don't see shit comedy. I could entertain myself all day long. I don't need anyone to
He
make
has
me
one
laugh.
hand.
But at your performance, I seriously would see you live. You're one of the few people I would pay to see live.
Oh, well, then you should.
We're taking them.
I just-
All right, John.
Here's the thing. Like, the only reason why that I would plug gig is not to, like, expect anyone from the whatever. I don't know how many people are on that site. It would
8,000.
just be because I know that there are a lot of Stern fans. So why not, if any Stern fan wants
Capitalize
to see
on it.
me
Why not?
and meet
It's
me have
ridiculous.
beers,
Exactly. It's better than I agree with you.
it isn't for any monetary reason, but yet I get squashed by it on there. But
I hate
you know,
that.
look,
I don't think it's fair.
For every person that hates it, John, there's 5 that loves it.
True.
You remember the negativity. For every one person that hates it, there's 5 that love it. You're harping on the one negative like everybody else does.
But again,
you always think about the one negative.
They do it to get a rise out of him. That's
I know.
Plain and simple truth.
No, just like Monique said, before, I'm very polarized, and I think part of that is because I left to go to the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and I think, in some respect, people or a certain percentage of Stern fans got very angry about that move, especially how it was, formulated on the air. They don't talk about the year before when I confided in Robin that I had an offer from the Tonight Show, and they don't talk about how I tried talking to Howard about it and how he refused to talk he refused to talk to me.
Yeah, John, walk me through that very thing. John, walk me through that. So you can't, Howard's a friend of yours. You have his home phone number. You hang out with the fucking guy. Why do you have to go through Laura Lochner to get a fucking meeting with him? Why can't you just call him on the phone? Why can't you, here's the hallways cleared and all that shit now. So that
I don't know. I took the advice of Robin Quivers, who I loved and respected. And I told her of my dilemma because I went to NYU for film and television, and it would be my dream to not only, be on camera for the Tonight Show, but also to be a staff writer. I mean, that's just a dream come true.
How could you refuse that?
So, I talked to her, and she recommended exactly to answer your question, John. She said, listen, you're not a kid anymore. You call Howard's assistant, and you tell him, and tell her that you want to set up a meeting with Howard and talk to him. Which I took her advice because I know you think that I'm hanging out with Howard and everything else, but I didn't feel comfortable, having dinner with him and then bringing up, hey.
By the way. But the reality is that I work in fashion. I've had tons of assistants. I've had tons of people work for me. I've had tons of people that have learned from me, learned from my head designers, learned from other people.
Easy, Meryl Streep.
Thank you. And Anna Wintour. And what happens, most good, benevolent bosses know that their people need to grow.
Exactly.
And what you forget about that entire show is that the reality is, other than Robin being a nurse, in broadcasting and in that world of radio, nobody ever had another job except to be with Howard. Fred started right out of he knew of Howard like in college. Robin, one of her first jobs was going to talk the news on his station.
Gary was born
into the fucking job. Yeah. Everybody who's there has never had another job, really.
Well, I think, I think Gary's wife said it best to me. The only person that I feel was actually honest and true to their heart was when my last week there, and I did take it, man. I mean,
you took it like a champ, by the way.
I was so angry for
Howard, and I owed that to the fans to just take it for a week and get abused for a week. But that's fine. I'll take it. But the only person that said the most honest thing was Gary's wife, and Gary had her on speakerphone in his office, and she said to me, John, and we're so jealous.
Yeah, that was the prevailing.
And at least, someone was honest about it. Like, I always wanted to be, in television. It was something that was, burning inside of me. So why instead of hating on somebody to move on, not Howard's competition, I didn't go at that point and get a job on whoever,
Opie and Anthony or something like that.
Right.
I went on to do a whole different medium, a television show. So I think there's a lot of hatred just for that. But I mean, I did try, and I tried twice, and Howard refused to talk to me. And I know, in hindsight, he'll say, oh, well, you could always talk to me about anything. And you know what? That's not true.
I know that's not
true. And if that were true, then Baba Booey and I, when we were trying to, do gigs, and we didn't know how to ask Howard to do the plug for us instead of having that fake tape Fred played and said,
"Yep."
And now here's Fred with the plug. I have Fred read, and almost 95% of the markets already were out.
Yeah.
So then Gary convinced me to send me and him to send an email to Howard because it's very uncomfortable. So you don't want to, on a tangent, and of course we did, and then Gary, in his ultimate way, when we sent the email from Gary's own email address, and then like a week later, Casey comes over and he goes, "Hey, Howard was just trashing in there,
God.
And how asked about what the hell was this email John sent me, and Gary goes, "Oh, I don't know." He was asking for plus. Gary threw me directly
right under that fucking train. Jesus Christ.
But I mean, it wasn't very easy to ask Howard things like that.
Oh,
it wasn't.
Please.
And maybe that's my mistake. And maybe if I thought we would act close, and if I thought he wouldn't freak out, then John, you're right. I would have just, called him and said, "Hey, Howard, I'm getting this offer from the Tonight Show to be a correspondent. They really like me there. What do you think?"
To what end, John? To what end? To what end would you ask Howard about this? Did you really think that he would actually be able to come back with competitive money? Or was it just a matter of saying to him, "Hey, look I got this offer and I don't know what to do"? Like, what was the expectation, even if you would have told him in advance?
Well, that's the other thing. That's the other, job thing that if you talk to any person in the business, you don't tell somebody, this is after, again, this is after, he had, hold on a second, I'm lighting my cigarette.
It makes two of us.
Smokers. Scourge of America.
I don't smoke.
No, I used to not, but I just started again. It's called divorce. Anyway.
Poor thing. I'm sorry, but
hello. That's what Lexapro is for. You big dumb.
No, but after he refuses to talk to me the first few times, and on the air, and it's documented, he said, "John, I don't care about you. I don't care about your career. Do whatever you want." So what do you do from there?
Exactly.
You feel like you're
passive-aggressive
you feel like he thinks that you're worthless. You know what I mean? And so I did what I did. I mean, I told Ari like 4 months before about everything because Ari
think it was a good idea?
Was one of my closest friends on the show.
I remember he told you not to say anything to Howard as well, just like Robin.
No. Artie actually said, well, maybe you should mention to Howard. Artie, but then again, if you ask, I don't know. I'm not going to say anything, but I don't know if Artie would say the same thing now because let's say I did. Let's just go to that world where 2 weeks before I signed the Tonight Show contract, I pull Howard aside like John says. And then I go, all right, well, Howard, I got this great offer to be the announcer on the Tonight Show, and what do you think? Now, let's say he has an adverse reaction, which we don't know what the reaction would be.
John, do you think he would?
Adverse reaction. Hold on, if it's an adverse reaction, and he goes on the air and trashes me and Jay, maybe the Tonight Show will get cold feet.
Exactly. Where does that leave you?
Now, not only do I not get the job, but now Howard hates me.
And you don't have it. He cans you.
Well, that's how you played it masterfully. It was diabolical. Like, you couldn't have handled that. I'm not kidding.
Oh, it's just logical.
Yeah, right, but I mean, you couldn't have played that. And so when anybody refutes you and anybody would have done exactly what you did and probably not played it as well. In a way, you're better than all of us.
But that's
you pulled the plug in 04. I'm jealous. I didn't have the foresight you had.
This is what you do. You do these things behind your company's back, obviously. You have to get a job. If you get another job, you're not telling your boss.
It wasn't behind, or if that's Grace, I'm sorry. But it wasn't behind. I tried a year before with Robin. She knew what was going on.
But, John,
and so
what I'm trying to get at, though, and I don't understand.
I tried talking to him.
I don't understand, though, but to what end? Like, talking to Howard about it what was the expectation? That you would get more money? That you would stay on the show and get a
No.
You knew they weren't going to match it.
So what's the
Honestly, I
point?
wanted to leave. Like, people still ask me, John, do you regret your decision? And I don't, because, look, I was there for 15 years.
Yeah, a long
Straight out of
time.
college, just like you said about Gary and Fred. I mean, at some point you go, I want to do other things. It's not like any disrespect to Howard, because I think he's one of the most talented men in the world. But I mean, it was more about, I just wanted to try and do something different. Look at him right now. He's on America's Got Talent. I mean, obviously he wanted to do something different.
Right, did everybody rip him a new asshole about it? Well, I guess we do, actually.
We
on a
do,
constant
because it's such a
basis.
ridiculous show.
Right. Everybody who's there now, I still don't think, and John, you can kind of talk to this a little bit. Do you think that everybody on the show is actually paid by Sirius, or do you think that Howard actually pays some of the people on the show? I always wonder about that.
I have no idea. All I know is that when I had to ask for more money, here's a great story for you, and this is the God's honest truth. I told it on Anthony Cumia, who I love, but it's true. I was in Tom Chiusano's office, Tom Chiusano, as you might know, and I'm in his office, and I was making $42,000 a year after being there 10 years.
Wow,
and I asked Tom, and he was like suffering from cancer.
Right.
And I said, Tom, I want $50,000 a year, and he looked at me. And he moved over on his desk, and he said, John, I'll die of cancer before I pay you $50,000.
Oh, my God. That's disgusting. Really.
The life insurance thing. So you get he chisels like $10,000 off your salary. Gives you, this is Mr. Religious. This is Mr.
How do you guys know about that? How do you know about the life insurance thing?
We know everything.
I got my sources.
Yeah. Well,
no, okay, but this is Mr. Religious, and the core tenets. I'm a Roman Catholic myself.
Me too.
Take care of your brother. We're all equal. Blah blah blah. Mr. Religious rips your life insurance away. I would think that. How many commandments does that break, guys? I'm not even sure.
Well, like part of one of the negotiations that Monique and Grace, what John's talking about, is one of the times I asked for money. And it wasn't, we're talking, you heard the numbers I just mentioned.
Yep.
I had asked for, a small amount of money for a raise.
That's not a lot. That's almost like a
nothing.
And then Tom said, instead, I'll give you family life insurance. And that's worth, X amount, whatever. So then 2 months later.
As if he's paying.
Really?
2 months later, they come up with a new thing where everyone's got to pay for their own life insurance, and then Tom took it away. And I went to him with Tom.
Are
And
you
I said,
saying?
Tom, what the hell? This is where our negotiation. When he goes, John, if I do it for you, I got to do it for everybody.
Oh my God!
But can I ask you something? Not life insurance. You mean health insurance?
Yeah, health insurance. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
John said life insurance, so I was with it.
I'd written. That's where. Either or. It's the same. It's the same atrocity. It's the same thing.
That always kind of
Again, guys, I don't blame Howard for any of that.
No, you're talking about Tom Chiusano.
That's a Tom Chiusano thing. I remember
thing.
once I was in there with Tom and Steve Kingston, and I was asking for more money. I was there for so many years. I was making shit, and, it was in Manhattan. So,
New York City.
So I asked him for more money, and Steve Kingston looked at me and he said, look, Howard created you. And I said, no, Steve, but years and years of bad parenting created me.
It's so true. We are our parents' children.
Ain't it the truth?
Honestly.
You hit on a key word here, and it's two things I want to string together here: Fred Norris and jealousy. I really think Fred was jealous of you on many levels. Two, I will give you. Fred wanted to go to Saturday Night Live. You went to the Tonight Show. Fred wanted to start a band. You got a record deal with the Stuttering John band. I think when you left, him being cantankerous was all pure jealousy and nothing but. And I think it still is to this day. And
you are a smart man, John.
Oh, thank you, Norton.
I think, and I don't give a shit about, I don't really have anything bad to say about Fred, but I mean, no, but I do think that there was a certain amount of animosity caused because I was very ambitious, and
talented.
I did things like, I went out and I worked my ass off and got a band and I went through the avenues and, and got hooked up with the vice president of Atlantic at the time, who's now the co-chair, and got him to come out one of my gigs and, so he came to see the band and he saw, now I would do like jokes in between and did comedy songs and did, regular songs. There's a stutter for you. And,
we love
and I worked my ass off and I got a record deal. Now, who knew that Fred always wanted one, but I did, so I think that was I think Fred might have been had some envy in that. And then, he did a lot of voiceover auditions and then I got the voiceover job in the world.
John, I have a question for you. Did they pay you extra money to do that show that you did after Howard was on?
Out to lunch.
Out to lunch? Did they pay you for that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's how, I supplemented my income because, thankfully, that's why I don't disparage Howard or anything else because there was other opportunities. So, so I got the out to lunch thing and and that paid whatever, like another $30,000. So, hey, look, at the end of the day, I don't feel slighted. I just, this is how I look at it. It's very simple. If you're unhappy with your salary, then leave.
Period.
Or just stay and do your job. So,
well, what do you think about people?
My move had nothing, zero, to do with the salary. Nothing.
Really?
That was a huge opportunity. How come I'm not taking it?
But he said not to do with the salary.
Would you have done it just because of the opportunity that it presented to you?
Yeah, it had nothing to do with the money. Listen, if the Tonight Show offered me $150,000 to do it, I would have done it because it had nothing to do with the money. It was just like, look, this was my dream. I wanted to be on television. I wanted to write for television. And, that's what it had nothing to do with the money.
And I feel like the character that you played.
The only, let me go back. The only thing I had to do with the money is that for the Tonight Show, there had to be enough money so I could, move my family out to L.A. and be able to support them.
Yes.
That was the only thing. But besides that, it wasn't like, it wasn't like I was so unhappy with the money. Because the truth is, I did, the Stuttering John and Friends tour when I was at Howard. I was able to supplement my income by doing all that,
But even though he gave you shit about that, it was okay to do
better
it?
at my stand-up.
Because Howard used to give you shit about, Howard basically gave everybody shit about
they do any extra
doing something outside of the job that used his name to get people in the door, right? How could you not? I don't understand.
Like I said in the beginning, Monique, I'm not about I'm not about trashing Howard. He was great to me. I have nothing bad to say. For any employee, if you're unhappy with your salary, and then you ask for a raise, and if you don't get it, then you leave. That's the thing. I don't disparage Howard for my salary or anything. I just, it was what it was.
It was a great opportunity.
The original point is, do you think that Sirius is paying the salaries or Howard is? I would assume that Sirius, because just because when I was at K-Rock, it was K-Rock paying the salaries. When Jackie Martling was going through his salary negotiation, it was with Tom, and it was with K-Rock. It wasn't with Howard. So
with Jackie, that was the only time Howard ever reached into his pocket, though, right? Because didn't he hold out for $62,000, and Jackie had Columbus Day Monday, just didn't come in. Howard got all nervous and said, I'll make up the difference, and he cut him a check for a few years for $62,000. So as I understand it, that was the only time he ever went into his pocket for anyone.
Do we know this for a fact?
I heard, yes, I researched Jackie.
Well, that's Jackie's story. I don't, that never happened to me.
You guys are friends, right?
You know what? I'll tell you what, John. It should have happened to you because I'll tell you why. How many Whack Packers did you create that's still on the air today?
Oh, let's talk about that.
Again, I didn't create them. They were they were.
You know what I mean?
Wacky before I made them, but
you facilitated their.
Listen, I would do the phones. And I would find a Jeff the Drunk or Gary the Retard or Wendy the Retard or, whoever, Joe Cancer. And I would
Joe
just
Cancer,
I
forgot about it.
Yeah, and I would, by the way, I named him, by the way.
Is he dead?
Like a writer, you should get residuals.
Dead?
You should get residuals.
No, but I would just find him on the phone. Put it this way, Jeff the Drunk took 9 months to get him on the air. I mean, because in the beginning I kept going to Howard. I would have him on the screen, and I would go in there, in the commercial break and go, Howard, you got to pick this guy out, please. Yep. But it would, but then he got, then he had a show to do. He had other guests or whatever. So he never got to him for like 9 months. But then look what happened, you know. But I knew the guy was,
he's gold.
comedy gold.
Yeah.
But
remember he had that thing on his butt?
But here's the thing. I didn't create them. I just was able to, put them on. And by the way, also, on my screen, I would write jokes for Howard, and that's something that a lot of these people don't, they just, trash me like crazy on, Monique said, on Dog Shed. And so I don't understand the hatred, because everything that I did on that show, and I swear to God, everything I did on that show was to do all I can to make it
good radio.
as good as I can.
And you did.
And I gave my life to that show. I talked about me trying to bang an Eczema bottle and, and freaking burning my penis. I mean, I talked about anything, all this stuff, and Howard knew it. And Howard loved that I was there to goof on Gary. It's not like he didn't laugh when I goofed on Gary.
He loved it. He egged it on.
I mean, hell, I stole the Gary puppet.
You did steal the Gary puppet.
Honestly,
we were just talking about that.
Ever. One of the best things ever.
I orchestrated that whole thing. I freaking had me and a dude and a girl I wanted to be with. We pulled up at Gary's appearance. Because initially, the honest truth was, we were in, the K-Rock studio. And they're like, Gary's doing an appearance, taking the Gary puppet. So Jackie said, how about we just try and figure out a way to break it? And I said, no, Jack, let me just steal it. I was like, you think you can pull that off? I know I can pull it off. So this is from my Long Island upbringing.
Of course you can.
Not from the high-priced Long Island,
Who made the puppet?
It's a classic.
I don't know. But then I just pulled up with my friend. I told the guy, I go, all right, just pull the owner aside, and just tell him, don't say anything, and then pull the puppet out. We'll put it in your car, and we'll drive off. And that's what we did. And then, all weekend was one of the funniest, conversations I had with Howard all weekend. We were laughing every minute. Because Gary would call me and go, son, I don't know what we were both. I lost the puppet. I'm he goes, you didn't break it. No, Gary, I'm with my girlfriend. I don't know what the hell happened. Then I call Howard. He's freaking, and me and Howard laugh our ass off.
Where was the puppet ultimately?
Was that good radio? I think.
It was fabulous.
Obviously it was.
Did you try to get ransom for the puppet? Was he held hostage?
Well, that's what some guy called it. Some guy called me and goes, let me talk to the puppet.
The show was so funny,
honestly,
John.
I have to tell you, as I was studying for this interview, I was just listening to, classic bits that were on Howard's show that would still be valid today.
Oh, so funny.
Your interviews, and I realized that you played the foil, for a lot of questions that nobody in the world would ask anyone. And I was just looking at the stupid Tommy Lasorda one where I'm laughing hysterical to myself with you trying to disguise yourself with like glasses and would know who the fuck you are. You know, the ridiculousness of it now, like 15, 20 years later, it's just so funny. I wanted to bring up a couple of things. I wanted to know what when you were on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, you were on with Bruce Jenner, and I'm wondering what you think about the whole Caitlyn Jenner thing.
Like I've said before, my oldest daughter, or son, if you will, is transgender.
Uh-huh.
I mean, when she told me she's transgender, I said, so what are you, an airline? I didn't know. I had no idea what it meant.
Yeah, right.
But I knew she was a lesbian. I mean, she was the homecoming queen, her and her girlfriend in Calabasas high school history. And, this is a place that used to be called Blacklist, and that's until the freaking Wayans family moved in those 50s.
Now it's Blackish.
No, there's a lot of Wayans.
I've always been, I'm very liberal with everything, so I've always been, like pro same-sex marriage. I don't really give a shit, and I don't know why people care that much.
I don't either. It's so ridiculous.
They're the only people that care about this.
I mean, I'm actually happy for Caitlyn because, it took her a while, or him, those are the
65
pronouns that it's hard to get used to, and it's hard for me as a parent to get used to because, like, even my son now,
yeah,
he wants me to say his or him. It's not easy when for 18 years
your baby girl, of course.
I've called her my daughter. I mean, I wrote a song about her. On my second album called Pretty Girl. I mean, so it's not easy to do that. But then I ask myself, as hard as it is for me as a parent, how hard is it for her or him to, deal with this and come out, and say that for all her life she felt like a man trapped in a girl's body. So I get the whole thing. So as far as Caitlyn goes,
but how she came out, how Caitlyn
I applaud
came out.
Bruce. I do applaud him, but there are two things I'm going to say. I think it's great for the transgender community,
right?
But I also think hanging out with Bruce, when he was Bruce, he is the most staunch conservative. Shoot him up. Ask questions later. Give totally Republican Party, and not to say I don't want to make it political.
No, you don't have to say it because the reality is that party is not the party.
But if you're that into the Republican Party, how do you think they're going to accept you? Because let's face it, I mean, the Republican Party is not exactly it's not exactly into same-sex marriage.
No, it's not a bathhouse at all. You're right.
But it's not about that.
I wonder if his politics or her politics are going to change.
Not at all.
Now,
no.
Being transgender, and if they're not, then guess what? Then she should be pushing for the acceptance of gays and bisexuals and transgenders, wherever she goes.
But it's just like being accepted for the church, John. It's the exact same thing. People have their beliefs. If you're raised a Catholic and you change genders, you're still going to be a Catholic at heart, even though the church isn't accepting you. You still have your beliefs. And you know what? He may be a staunch Republican, so he probably still thinks of, smaller government, bigger business, et cetera, et cetera.
Give me my gun. I'm going to put it in my garter belt.
It's not going to change that feeling. But the fact that everybody
but just like the great Doug Stanhope says about the of an a la carte. But if you can't have it a la carte, you can't go, I'm a staunch Republican, and then, look at their views on same-sex marriage and go, okay, we want to be, conservative on everything else. We want to go to war at the drop of a dime. But, now with Caitlyn, but we got to accept, transgender. How's she going to deal with that?
No, can't reconcile
that. Because they don't go hand in hand.
No, of course not.
Now, the only time it actually changes...
I mean, it's just not going to happen.
If a Republican has a daughter who's 14 years old who has to get an abortion, they'd sooner talk about abortion being wrong for the rest of their fucking lives and never mention the fact that in their own household that the same thing happened. It's just like all these Republicans who talk about gay rights. They're funny while there's somebody in a fucking
Cheney,
glory
right? That was
hole.
Dick Cheney.
Dick Cheney's daughter is a lesbian and is married to a woman.
And he's absolutely against it.
Of course.
Absolutely against it. And he will be till the day he dies.
And his wife wrote a book about lesbos.
You just can't change. You just can't change. How you feel.
Wrote a book about what?
She wrote a book. Dick Cheney's wife wrote a book. Like a woman's novel, and it had like this really steamy lesbo sex scenes in the book.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, and Dick Cheney's always going to be Dick. I mean, let's be honest.
Ew.
He's the Darth Nihilus of...
No wonder she's writing the lesbo love scenes.
And John, I got news for you. Emily Stern, allegedly, has got to be a lesbian too. I mean, she's scissoring.
No, see, I don't know about that because...
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, we don't know, and we don't care.
I have my reasons to not know about that, but I'm not going to say. But I will say, I don't ever talk or disparage. I try to disparage Howard, but I also try to I don't disparage anybody's kid.
Really?
I do want to talk about one thing. I want to talk about that whole fight with Anna Nicole Smith. And was that actually staged?
I care about Anna Nicole Smith, though.
I'm sorry.
No, it wasn't staged. It wasn't staged. And you know what? Again, on the show, I think it was probably one of my favorite moments to keep on going back in and asking you to get on the scale. And,
that was so funny.
I love that I went back in like the third time and said, listen, I just want to say I'm sorry. I'm sorry for saying anything, but get the fuck on the scale.
That was a riot.
Tell us, John, what are you doing with yourself these days? So you had a couple of really great years at Leno. You,
a couple.
10 years, decade.
You've chiseled down 10 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, it's really not. I just want to know, the Howard era was, his formative years. His growing up, his getting to be a popular personality on a very, very important, very, very popular radio show.
Yes.
He goes off to Leno, and I kind of feel like we lost a little sight of you, just in terms of what you were doing and what your contributions were.
And I agree with that. I mean, the truth is, this is, not what Howard will say, but it is the truth. There was this segment producer, Dave Berg, who saw me on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here.
Right.
And, he said, this guy, he's the guy. He could be the guy that's next to Jay. He could be the Ed McMahon guy. He's very honest and innocent and whatever, this guy thought. So then when I got hired, I was in the executive producer's office, so I loved very much Libby Vickers and the head writer, the line producer, and they were going over where I was going to sit in the, on the Tonight Show stage, and they couldn't come up with a place, and they put me in the audience. So as far as me being Stuttering John or me being me, it was impossible because I essentially became a glorified heckler.
Yeah.
So there was no way that I could be that guy to be on the couch with Jay and call out a celebrity for saying something that, I might not agree. You know what I mean? Just the way I did on the Stern Show. I mean, just it took that whole element out of it.
Right. It's not a working profile for TV.
I do think that I didn't do exactly what I had hoped or what I had thought I would, like being stuck in the audience there. I felt like it was just because I remember once I yelled something out and Jay looked around like I was a heckler.
Like, who is this guy? We don't know him. Get him out of here.
So what did you wind up morphing into on that show?
What's that?
What did you wind up morphing into on that show for like the next 9 years or so?
Well, then I just started writing bits all the time, and I would send them to the executive producer and the head writer, and then suddenly, they started doing them, and then I got hired as a staff writer, which, by the way, to me, at that point, was way more, it was way cooler than, just to announce, because I mean, look, one of my favorite experiences in my life is that when Jay hosted the White House Correspondents' Dinner, they played one of my video bits, for the president. And they,
fabulous.
After it was done, they cut to the president. He was laughing his ass off. So
That's
at the end of the day, I can say I made the president laugh.
Which one was that, John? What was it?
Oh, it was this one about the difference between how one news network covered when they took down a leather jacket that, a billboard that Barack was, they were trying to promote, I think it was weatherproof or something, and they took it down.
Oh, right. And it was in Times Square.
And then I did my take on how Fox News handled.
Why after 10 years, on Leno? So how did that not parlay into another full-time writing gig? I feel
it did. I got hired a month later to write for this network, Bite Size TV. I wrote for them for 3 or 4 months, and then they folded. And then now, but in the meantime, I'm doing stand-up every night.
How's that?
Let's look. That's one of those things. I love doing stand-up, but I think that my, dream now is to get back in the radio and do either hosting or co-hosting a radio show, and that's something that I'm focused on. And I have some opportunities that might come up. And then the other thing is that, I love doing stand-up and telling jokes. And then I also have, a book thing that might be happening very soon.
I hope you do a book.
Awesome. Are you thinking of actually doing true radio or like a podcast?
No, I think it would... listen, there are things in the works, and hopefully I'll be back on the radio soon.
I hope so.
Unfortunately,
that'd be great.
I haven't been invited to be a guest on the Howard Stern show, but I don't know why.
They're lost.
I think
Too honest.
There's so much
Too honest.
animosity, and I don't get it, but it is what it is.
I don't get it. Within months of leaving, Jackie was invited back on. And I think Gary had asked him
but
to
he
come
But he
didn't
was
leave
also
for a better
berated
thing.
by Robin and Fred
I'm not
treated
saying
like
that,
shit.
but he didn't, he didn't leave to, do something that irritated her. I don't know what it was.
Jay Leno,
I don't know why
God
Jackie.
forbid.
I don't get it. He walked up the show. I don't get it.
Because you left victorious, John.
Exactly.
And they can't, and you're honest, and that's
You
one
left-
thing he can't
you
deal with.
left-
You got to leave with your tail between your legs. He can't deal with that.
Like a Roman warrior.
Yes.
You left victorious.
No, he did.
But again, I'm not here to trash the guy. I'm grateful to him.
Of
If I
course
went
you
on
are.
a show, I would give him a hug. And, if everything else is behind me, I don't care about all the crappy shit that he said since I left. I don't care about it. And as far as, Monique, just to wind up, I don't know why I'm so polarizing. I think a lot of it is because that I told the truth. Look, you guys pulled me aside after I went out for a 2-week hiatus, and they said, "Hey, John, look at these 2 pictures," and they showed me one with Howard's nose, and they showed me another
With a bowling alley.
of his nose smaller, and then it's again on the air. I went in and I said, "Hey, Howard, you got a nose job." He goes, "No, I didn't." I go, "Yes, you did. Your freaking nose got small." And then he denied it. And I guess maybe that's one of the reasons, because I was always the guy to, I guess, in some people's mind, be the asshole.
You weren't an asshole. You're telling the truth. He
But
did
you're
have
the
a
funny
nose
asshole.
job.
You're just
Honestly,
telling the truth.
funny fucking asshole.
3 months later, 3 years later, he finally admitted he got
I know. That was his big reveal going to Sirius. Oh, I had a nose
Yeah, but I
job.
called him out on it.
Jeez.
Tell me about Leno. I love this. Leno is such a mensch, and I love this guy more and more as the years tick on. And I can't stand Leno. I'm with you. I think Leno is such a better person than Letterman. Is it not true that during the writer's strike, Leno actually paid you guys out of his own pocket?
During the writer's strike, well, I wasn't a staff writer then, so I did get paid. But I guess John, I can't remember exactly. I know that Jay, if you want to really show what a great guy Jay is, and then I'm going to leave with this because I got to get my beer. What Jay did for all of us and for all of the staff, not only the Christmas bonuses that were in the thousands.
Oh, you didn't give you popcorn? John, he didn't give you popcorn?
No. But I mean, I'm just saying that what Jay did for all of us was when they were going to move in Fallon, they wanted Fallon to come in February, so they could promote Fallon during the Olympics. Jay said, and they're going to move Jay out, and he said, look, if you want me out, because they had to honor his contract until September.
Anyway, right.
And Jay said, hey, if you want me to leave, fine, but then you're going to pay my whole staff until September.
Wow.
And that's the deal. Take it or leave it. And all of us got paid until the following September. And that's just an incredible testament to what a good guy Jay is.
Yes, it is.
And, he's always been that guy. You can talk to Jay. You can call Jay. I was in the hospital for a staph infection. The guy calls me, as soon as I got out, he goes, "Yeah, you all right? Everything all right?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "What happened?" I go, "Well, I got a staph infection, and whatever." He goes, John, you got to bathe every once in a while. Jay's that guy. Jay's a good guy, and all the crap he gets.
I know, it's not fair.
He's truly, truly one of the most personal guys, and, I have really nothing bad to say about him.
Honestly,
are you going to be touring with him? Are you going to open for him?
One bitter creep.
No, Jay only has a music opener, but I will say that I love the man, and there's a lot of great stories about me and him that I'll have in my book that's coming out soon. It's coming out.
Are you working on it now,
I'm writing it. And guys, I gotta go, but look, just tell people to follow me at Stuttering John M.
Let's get
John verified.
Yeah, let's get John verified. Can we work on getting John verified? It really pisses me off.
It's awful.
That's stupid.
Wait, who has your name?
I'm going to do a ride. Hey, John, I'm going to do a ride. I am going to Periscope my whole ride from New York to L.A., and my father's ailing, and, he's undergoing chemo. And I'm gonna take my motorcycle from L.A. to New York and just stop off. Try and do it on $500 just to see if I can do it and just stop off at comedy places and do sets. So and thank you guys. You've been great.
John, we love you.
We love you.
We really do. We're just really happy that you came on
Thank you
to shoot
so
the
much.
Shit with us. It was awesome.
Really, you
really
were great, John.
it.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you guys so much, and have a great day. And I'm
You
gonna
too.
go.
We only want the best for you, John.
Goodbye.
Don't get him, baby.
Thank you guys.
John,
Bye.
Oh, I hung up on him. I'm sorry.
Hey guys, thanks for hanging with us tonight. Please join us for any further discussion at RadioGunk.com in the forum section. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at RadioGunk. And don't forget to like this and subscribe to us and hit that little bell so you know when we're doing a new show. Thanks.